The science of agriculture, the land, the seeds, and the man.
Agricultural survival.
The man.
They have represented me with the worst image. But I know without a doubt that it's because of your lack of knowledge. Foresight, they don't have to see distance. That's why they're living in ignorance. I listen, I see, I say.
Hi, I'm your host on What Matters at the Roundtable, Stanley West McPherson, April the 26th, 2016. We're here live on Pegasus. You can call us tonight, live in the studio. We're here, area code 607-272-0319. We're on Time Warners, channel 13. You can pick us up, broadcast on Wednesday night. If you missed tonight, you can pick us up at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night, or Thursday morning at 10:30 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m. You can call us if you like something you heard, or maybe you want to get in part of the discussion tonight. You can call the number live on your screen. Also here tonight, co-host Milton Webb. And we have two special guests from Cayuga Medical, Anna, Marsha, and we have another, Ananda Sherman. So they're going to be here with us tonight, and they're going to talk more about the living wage. We're going to talk about how the living wage is helping them and how it affects them, and how we need a living wage in this day of society. How you doing, Anna?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. How you feeling?
Good.
Good. Thank you for showing up, for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us.
I just want to say that you brought your friend, and that's beautiful, Anand, and that's good tonight that she's here, y'all here tonight to really open up this living wage and how things is going, where you work, or, just in general, how is things going, because I know you're a nurse and you save people alive, so I know. Open up, let me know something.
Well, both Anand and I work up at Cayuga Medical Center, and there's a couple issues that we wanted to discuss tonight. One is the living wage, and another is also our organizing campaign to bring in a union to Cayuga Medical Center. We've been working on that for about 10 months now and are continuing to work at that. So it's been a journey.
So what is what is people saying around, you doing what you need to do? What are they saying? Or do you have negative? Is it a positive view, or is it a negative? Is it mixed reactions, or what?
It's an interesting climate. We currently have over 50% of the nurses at the medical center who would like to bring a union in, as well as people in other departments in respiratory therapy, housekeeping, and support staff like hospital aides and ward clerks. So there's a large, diverse group of people that want to make a change, have a voice, have a contract, and be able to have accountability at our workplace.
Okay. Anand, how you feeling?
I'm feeling all right.
Good. I need to find out what has been happening. What motivates you to really, to want to be a part of this living wage, the union, whatever you need to do?
I guess for me there's a few different things. One of the primary things is just patient safety and wanting to have staffing ratios that are safe. Also a big thing that I noticed working in the ICU is I think a contract would prevent nurses who aren't trained to be working in a critical care setting. You know, when we are short nurses, they'll have nurses come from other units and come and work in the ICU or in the ER that aren't necessarily properly trained, and I feel like that's unsafe, and you know, things like that I would like to see change.
Well, what do they have? What do you think they should train every nurse to be able to work in every department, as far as like the ICU and stuff like that? If you guys are short on nurses and they call somebody in from another floor or from another place, right, do you think everyone should be trained in what everyone does?
I think it would be probably less financially, beneficial for the administration of the hospital to staff us so that people were able to, well, let me say this a different way. Ideally, what I would like to see is the ICU, which is the unit that I work in, right, staffed appropriately by trained nurses from that unit, and to be staffed in case of an emergency, as opposed to what we're seeing now and more, which is like a real bare bones type of thing. Okay. And then, studies show, clinically based evidence is out there that shows that nurses who are trained in a specific unit, for instance, short stay, right? They have mm-hmm. surgical patients. So surgical patients should go to the surgical unit. Critical patients should come to the critical unit, right? ER nurses are ER nurses. So there are better patient outcomes when people are working in those units and they see the same types of patients over and over. Right. So the medicine that we see in critical care is different than what they have in short stay. And studies are out there that show that when you have nurses trained in that particular area, consistently taking care of those same types of patients, that you have better outcomes. And so when you take a nurse, for instance, who doesn't know how to read a cardiac monitor, a telemetry monitor, and you give them a patient who has a history, an elaborate cardiac history, which is part of why they're in the ICU, and they can't even notice subtle changes on the monitor, then that, to me, feels really unsafe. So it would be great if everyone in the hospital was trained, right, to take care of critical patients, but it's a very specific thing, and maybe would even be more financially crazy to do that. But instead what they're doing is taking nurses from units who aren't trained and sending them to our unit.
Okay.
Whereas
right,
like for me, I could float to a different unit, like the telemetry unit or a medical unit, and be trained to care for those patients, so that seems appropriate. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like down at the recycling center where I work everywhere there, and everybody works everywhere there. So it's like if you need a person to be over here in electronics, you can put them over there in electronics for the day. You can put them up there on the drop-off for the day. In your situation, it's totally different.
They're more specialized.
Right.
So, for example, the things that a maternity nurse would have to know, not necessarily would a critical care nurse know all the nuances of her job and what medications are used every time, because it's not something we do every day.
Right.
You have better patient safety and better outcomes when the nurse is specifically trained and knows the job she's supposed to be doing.
Right. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
And I think if the training was there, that would be one thing. So for instance, if they were going to float Ann or I down to the emergency room, if we're trained to pick up shifts in the emergency room, then that's fine. But as a nurse, if you float me somewhere that I don't feel properly trained for, then that's putting my license at risk, not to mention the patients.
Okay.
Right.
Not to mention our mental health,
And then you put it then you put in the person's life, at stake, because if you questioning your ability that you can't do this, then the patient might need a serious, whatever it is, operation, whatever. Right there, you are, is in doubt.
Right.
Because of you're not qualified to do that.
You might not recognize
exactly.
something.
And now something happened, the fault lies on you, and they don't want to hold responsibility. Those that put you in that place don't want to hold it, but they want you to hold it. And so I see exactly what you're saying.
It's like making a policeman do a firefighter's job and vice versa.
Right.
And this is, something we've brought up again and again to the administration. and asking for solutions, and we've come up with several. One would be a float pool, where they take a select group of nurses, and those nurses are trained to go to specific areas when they are short-staffed, instead of bringing in people who aren't trained.
And that's a common practice at other hospitals.
We've asked for travelers. You can hire certain nurses from temporary agencies that are specifically trained in certain areas. We've asked for that. A lot of that has not happened, and this is one of the reasons, because of the fact that when we do ask for things, there is no accountability, why we've decided to go as far as into organizing a union. So we do have a say in our jobs, we do have a voice, and we can be heard, and they are held accountable.
Okay.
Well, you guys are nurses, and the whole thing about it is, you know, before any doctor or anybody else sees them, you guys see them.
Right, right.
And you know, like Scott said, you know, it's that scared little girl or that scared little boy, you know, that you guys reassure, oh, everything's going to be good, everything's going to be all right. And you get that person to smile. Now, they looking at it like, okay, well, you know what, it may not be that bad. But like you say, when you have somebody who's not familiar with whatever it is that's going on at that time, they don't have time to make that child smile or reassure that child that everything's going to be fine. So, you know, y'all need more than a living wage.
And then y'all prep the person, you know, because y'all have to get everything right for the doctor. So when he walks in or she walks in, everything is already taken care of because the nurse already did the prep.
We do a lot of initial assessments.
Exactly.
Usually we're the first ones to lay our eyes on the patients.
Exactly. And so you relay everything back to the doctor because the chart that he gets or she gets has everything already lined up and accurate from y'all. So he know exactly, he or her know exactly what to do.
Exactly.
Okay? So the preparation comes from the nurses.
And we're the ones who are at the bedside
Exactly.
all day. So we
And
get
that-
to know the patients well.
I mean, brings up another point that we hear a lot is that, you know, people in our community aren't really aware of what's going on with the nurses, and I feel like part of that is because we have some really wonderful nurses up there that are really great at, you know, like you were saying, helping you just be comfortable where you're at, or just, you know, putting on the face that, because we don't walk into a room being like, oh, I'm overworked and I've got 6 other people, you know what I mean? You don't
We haven't had
walk
lunch
into a room
in a
that
week.
way.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you come into a room and you're that person's nurse, and you're going to really want them to feel safe and to feel secure and to feel heard and all of those things that nurses are really good at, you know.
Okay, so that's why we are fighting for the living wage. We went to Dryden last week. The week before they was putting it on the agenda, but last week they passed it to make sure that it's in their budget, and that they're aware of it, and that they know about it, and that they want to support it. So while we went to the town of Dryden, they actually voted on it, and everybody agreed, you know. So that was a victory for us, as to say that, you know, we have to start from county to county, town to town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what we need to happen. And so,
I'd like to see that too at the medical center.
Yeah.
I know, you know, I certainly, in Ananda, we do make a living wage, but there are many people at that hospital that don't.
Right.
And Cayuga Medical Center is one of the largest employers in Tompkins County, and our support staff, who we could not do our job without, the dietitian, the dietary staff, the hospital aides, the ward clerks, the secretaries, the housekeepers, they're the ones that, you know, make us be able to do our job. They support us, and they do not make a living wage.
What are the doctors, I mean, how are the doctors looking at this? Are they with you guys? Are they on your sides, or what?
That's an interesting question. From what I have believed to have heard and been true, that there are a lot of people that are behind us, but there's a lot of scare tactics and intimidating going on right now.
Yeah.
And I have heard that they've been told to stay out of it.
Okay. And that happens.
Yeah, it does.
It happens because we know it happens, because we're telling you this is personal.